Thanks for joining us for the fourth Missouri River Basin Water Management Conference Call of 2012. I am Monique Farmer, and I will be the moderator for today's call. These calls are recorded in their entirety. Your participation acknowledges your consent to be recorded. The agenda for today's call will be as follows. We will begin with Mr. Doug Cluck of the NOAA Central Region Climate Services Director out of Kansas City, Missouri. He's going to talk about the short and long range precipitation temperature outlooks from the NOAA Climate Prediction Center. Those outlooks were updated yesterday afternoon. Dr. Dennis Toddy with the South Dakota State Climatology Office will not provide an update, but he is also on the line to answer questions related to weather conditions in the basin. Ross Woolford with the National Weather Service Missouri River Basin Forecast Center will talk about flood outlook conditions in the Missouri River Basin. Jody Farhat, Chief of the Missouri River Basin Water Management Division, will provide an update on the Corps' reservoir release schedule. We will receive levee repair status updates provided by Brett Budd, Chief of the Omaha District Systems Restoration Team. We will also receive an update on repairs from Zach White with the Kansas City District. And then just for your information, Colonel Anthony Hoffman with the Kansas City District is also on the line to answer questions later. After all of the presentations, we will receive questions by state. Just a reminder for you all that we will use a forced mute function during today's call. To unmute your line, please enter star. This function does not work on all phones, so please be aware that if this mute function does not work on your phone, all others on the call will be able to hear your conversations. I would now like to do a roll call for this afternoon's speakers. Doug Cluck, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Dr. Toddy, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Ross Wilford, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Zach White, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Colonel Hoffman, sir, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here too.
Thank you, sir. A link to our press kit, which includes bios, Missouri River Basin information, and historical data, can be found in the media advisory that you received. You can also access the press kit from our website. Doug Cluck, NOAA Central Region Climate Services Director out of Kansas City, Missouri, will now provide a report of basin conditions.
Hi all, and thank you again for inviting me to this call. I guess what I'm going to talk mostly about are what the outlooks are for the near and kind of farther term climate in terms of temperature and precipitation, as I stated earlier. In the near term, it looks, and in the near term, I'm simply going to say that is the month of March. For the month of March, temperatures look to be for almost the entire basin. The chances of above normal temperatures are enhanced, and over the southern and basically the southeastern part of the basin, they're enhanced quite a bit. And so, the probabilities of seeing warmer than normal temperatures across for the month of March are higher than normal. Less chance of seeing below normal temperatures or even near normal temperatures. As we talk about precipitation, there's not as much to talk about there in terms of unusual or anomalous precipitation. So we're expecting near normal, equal chances is the way I really should say this, equal chances of below near normal and above normal precipitation across most of the basin. There is a slight indication over Colorado and western Kansas, a slight enhancement of below normal chances for precipitation in that area, and that extends actually into the southwest part of the U.S. Moving on to sort of a 3-month outlook, March, April, and May. Again, for the southeastern half of the Missouri Basin and eastern portions of the Missouri Basin, the that chances for above normal temperatures are enhanced, are greater than normal. And for the rest of the basin to the north and the west, equal chances of above, below, and near normal conditions are forecast. That's for temperatures. For precipitation, it's very much like the March outlook. The only area that doesn't have equal chances of above, below, or near normal, again, is the southwest corner of the basin. Most of that is in Colorado, extending out into southwestern Nebraska and western Kansas. So I think, if we go 3 months further forward, April, May, and June, the temperatures, the probability of temperatures being above, below, or near normal, really most of just the southern part of the basin has an enhanced probability of being above normal. And the rest of the basin, most of the basin actually, north and west, again, are equal chances of above, near normal, and below normal. And then again, for April, May, and June, for precipitation, most of the basin is covered with that equal chances term again, equal chances of above, below, and near normal. Last thing I do want to mention, just very quickly, is that in terms of what we also observe drought conditions across the country and our outlook for drought. And the only reason I'm mentioning this time is that there is a fairly large area over most of the Dakotas that has been sort of highlighted in terms of being that are likely to see an increased chance for drought developing, and that, like I said, is about the two-thirds of both North and South Dakota and their western two-thirds. And that's for the months of March through May. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Doug. Ross Wolford, National Weather Service, Missouri River Basin Forecast Center, will now talk about flood outlook conditions in the basin.
Well, it was proposed to me that I should keep my comments down to 4 sentences, and as near as I can tell, I just used one of those up. As Doug mentioned, we're very dry across the Dakotas, and that goes on down when you get from Montana over to eastern Dakota. The James River and the Sioux Rivers down to Nebraska are basically very dry too. And yet, though those soils are very dry, much of that area has relatively high stream flow right now, and that's from last year's rain and the effects that it had on groundwater and on some of the ponds. The snowpack in the mountains is well below normal, and by this time of year, we should have 60 to 70% of the normal season maximum on the ground. Things could change. We still have a couple of months of the accumulation season to go in some of the mountain areas. And spring rain is something that, like we saw last year, is not necessarily all that predictable. But as it stands right now, we don't really expect to see any snow melt-driven flooding anywhere from the mountains across the plains. Down in the lower end of the basin, we may get some flooding from rainfall, but that's normal. So we're below average chance of flooding everywhere, I'd say.
Thank you, Ross. Jody Farhat, Chief of the Missouri River Basin Water Management Division, will now provide an update of current basin conditions and the Corps' reservoir release schedule.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your participation and your help keeping the public informed. The current status of the reservoir system is that the total water currently in storage is 56.4 million acre-feet, which is 0.4 million acre-feet below the base of the annual flood control pool. This is a slight increase from the beginning of the month, primarily due to the warm temperatures that have freed up some of the water that was stored in river ice last month. In a typical winter, we would see this return flow coming in March, so we're simply getting it a little early this year. Last year at this time, the system storage was at 57 million acre-feet, which is 200,000 acre-feet above the base of the annual control. Ross just mentioned a little bit about the snowpack. Currently, there's very little plain snowpack in the Missouri Basin. Most locations are reporting less than an inch of water equivalent, and the heaviest amounts are all downstream of the main stem system in a band that stretches from northeast Colorado through eastern Nebraska. And this area generally has 1 to 2 inches of water equivalent. Any runoff from the melt of this band of snow will come down the Platte River in Nebraska. That is not expected to cause any issues there either. Mountain snowpack is, as Ross mentioned, slightly below average. Overall, in the reach above Fort Peck, we're recording 83% of normal and 90% of normal in the reach between Fort Peck and Garrison. There are 2 sub-basins in that reach between Peck and Garrison, which are part of the Yellowstone drainage, the Powder and the Tongue basins that are slightly above average, but the rest of the basin is below average. In summary, all of our 2011 floodwater has been evacuated from the main stem system, and as of today, we have 400,000 acre-feet of additional flood control storage available. Both the plains and mountain snowpack are below average and significantly lower than last year at this time. And I want to say that these are all bits of good news, but we can't afford to become complacent. The situation can change quickly as it did last year, even though the forecast doesn't show that at this time. And even if conditions remain favorable in the upper basin, we aren't immune from the risk of flooding. If you look back over the last 25 years, we've had flooding somewhere in the basin every one of those years, and really only 2 of them were a result of extreme events in the upper basin. That would be 1997 and last year. So we can get localized flooding anytime and anywhere, and as was mentioned, a lot of this looks like this year will be a result of rainfall rather than the snowmelts runoff. So we all need to remain vigilant, and everyone has a role here, from homeowners making sure that their flood insurance policy is in place and up to date, to state and local agencies ensuring that their emergency response plans are in place, to the media ensuring that the public understands the flood risk and what to do in case of an event, and to the Corps and these other federal agencies we work with ensuring that we're prepared for another runoff season. That concludes my report. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jody. Brett Budd, Chief of the Omaha District Systems Restoration Team, will now provide a levee repair status update.
Thank you, Monique, and good afternoon, everyone. Currently, the Omaha District has 18 levee rehabilitation projects that are authorized and funded under Public Law 8499. To date, 8 of the 18 levee systems have awards and ongoing construction. We anticipate awarding construction contracts on an additional 4 systems in the next 2 weeks. An additional $145 million in funding was received by the Omaha District yesterday, which will allow us to begin work on 5 of the remaining levee systems. The additional funding will also allow us to complete the majority of the currently anticipated repairs to the entire levee system. The 18th system, Lake Wakanda, is currently on hold awaiting a signed cooperation agreement with the sponsor in receipt of their cost-sharing funds. Thus far, the Omaha District has awarded 13 contracts that total over $61 million. The current estimate for all levee repairs is $280 million. On all our levee repair projects, we'll be moving from time-sensitive critical repairs to follow-on activities that will include additional geotechnical investigations, analysis, design, and construction of the final repairs. Our goal is to complete all construction by the end of the calendar year. In Iowa, levee L624-27 at Council Bluffs repaired the damages of the 28th Street and Veterans Memorial Bridge pump stations are approximately 45% complete. This contract was modified to include drainage structure and other repairs at 7 additional locations. Construction is ongoing at 6 of the locations, and notice to proceed was issued this morning on the last location. The scheduled completion date is March 1st. Levee L611-614 south of Council Bluffs. 2 construction contracts are underway. Those repairs include riverside scour repair and construction of seepage burns and installation of relief wells. The first contract for critical repairs will be completed by March 1st. The second contract which includes repairs to levees R613 and R616 across the river south of Bellevue, Nebraska, is scheduled for completion the first week of March. Levee L575 near Hamburg, the upper breach near Percival, Iowa, was substantially complete on February 1st. The middle breach near Hamburg was substantially complete on January 28th. And the lower breach near Nishnabotna River is 35% complete and scheduled to be completed by March 1st. In Missouri, levee L550 near Rockport, Missouri, the contract was substantially complete on January 19th at the upper breach location. On the lower breach, the contractor is placing fill for levee embankment to pre-flood levee height. The lower levee setback is currently 80% complete and scheduled to be substantially complete in late February. Levee L536 south of Rockport, Missouri, a construction contract was awarded January 31st. Construction of the setback levee, which is a critical repair, is over 50% complete, and substantial completion is anticipated prior to March 1st. In Nebraska, levee R624-627, which is the Omaha Flood Protection Project in Omaha, Nebraska, a contract was awarded on February 8th. Critical repairs include levee side slope turf restoration, flood wall boil repair, Jones Street flapgate, Douglas Street pump station, Grace Street outlet structure erosion, Metalusa sewer diversion and structure erosion, Riverview pump station repair, drainage structure outlet rehabilitation, repair to the Kinder Morgan drainage structure. These repairs are scheduled to be completed by March 1st. Levee R613 south of Bellevue, Nebraska. On February 14th, the Omaha District awarded a purchase order for seeding of the Missouri River levee R613. Work includes seeding the Papillion Creek right bank, the Missouri River right bank, and the Platte River left bank. Project scheduled for completion by March 15th. Levee R573 south of Nebraska City was awarded on February 14th to repair scour holes, construction of seepage berms, slope repairs, and seeding. The seepage berms are scheduled to be completed in mid-March, and all repairs will be completed by June 1st. Moving up the river, design work and engineering studies are underway for the O&M repairs of the 6 main stem dams. The goal is to have the majority of the repairs under contract by the end of the fiscal year. For additional information update, go to the Omaha District website under the Flood 2011 Repairs link. Information will be updated regularly. Thank you, and back to you, Monique.
Thank you, Brett. Zach White with the Kansas City District will now provide an update on the status of levee repairs.
Good afternoon. A general summary for the Kansas City District is there are 57 levee rehab projects ongoing. A rough order of magnitude of damages is $40 million. We have 6 contracts awarded, and pre-solicitation announcements have been posted for several projects. 2 projects have been denied due to minimal damages. Updates for the state of Kansas. Clyde, Kansas, this project solicitation has been posted on FedBizOps. MRLS 471-460R, a construction contract was awarded on 9 February to Cajun Contractors of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who is subcontracting with TL Enterprises. The work will include filling scour holes that occurred on the levee foreshore, repairing localized erosion of levee embankments, repairing sand boil flow path areas, and constructing new seepage berms. The contractor will mobilize equipment to the site on 20 February. Construction completion is scheduled for 27 June 2012. Updates for the state of Missouri. MRLS 455L, this contract was awarded along with the MRLS 471-460 contract. Rushville Sugar Lake, contract was awarded on 30 January to ESI of Kansas City, Missouri to construct levee setbacks for breach repair, riverside and landside slope erosion, and drainage structures. Notice to proceed was issued on 1 February 2012. The project is approximately 30% complete. Work is progressing simultaneously at 3 separate breach locations. We are working with the levee district and FEMA to remove sandbag debris. Construction completion is scheduled for 15 June 2012. Bean Lake, a construction contract was awarded on 10 February to TJC Engineering of Louisville, Kentucky. who is subcontracting with Pro Specialties. The work includes earthwork operations for the construction of earthen levees, borrow site operations, seeding, and installation of drainage structures. Notice to proceed was issued on 14 February. A pre-construction meeting was held on 16 February. Crews will be mobilizing equipment and personnel to the site on 20 February. Construction completion is scheduled for 28 June 2012. North Kansas City. A construction contract was awarded on 3 January to W.A. Ellis of Missouri to complete slope stability of this levee via stone placement on the left descending bank of the Missouri River near River Mile 370. The project is physically complete. This is the final report on this project. Waukenda. A construction contract was awarded to Idecker, Inc. of St. Joseph, Missouri on Monday, 23 January for the repair levee setback for breach repair, slope erosion, and drainage structures. Notice to proceed was issued on 25 January. The contractor is moving material near Waukenda Creek for the levee setback in that area. Overall project is 5% complete. Construction completion date is scheduled for 1 May 2012. For continuous updates, please refer to our website at www.nwk.usace.army.mil. Click on the Levee Rehabilitation tab in the center of the site. And that concludes the updates for the Kansas City District.
Thank you, Zach. Just a reminder again to everyone that these calls are recorded and they can be retrieved in their entirety from the Corps' website by no later than close of business today. Questions will now be fielded by the state, by state for the Corps, Doug Cluck, Dr. Toddy, and Ross Wolford. We will begin with the state of Missouri, congressional delegation members, state officials, local government, press.
Yeah, this is Bob Pretty at the Missouri Net.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. I saw that the Army has put out its proposed budget for the Corps earlier this week, I guess, from what I understand. And I'm interested in getting some figures from you folks on whether that proposed budget is going to be enough to do the job that needs to be done on the Missouri River, especially this part of it down here in Missouri, whether we can fix all the levees and do all of the other repair work that has to be done.
That's probably going to be best answered by Colonel Hoffman, if you're on the line, Colonel Hoffman.
Yes, I am. Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sure can.
Hey, sir, here's the bottom line. The Defense Relief, or the Disaster Relief Appropriation Act supplemental was passed by our Congress on the 23rd of December, and we have the resources we need through that supplemental, whether it be levee repair, infrastructure repair, or the Bank Stabilization Navigation Project for rehabilitation. The money's there, so that is not a resource constraint. Over.
Okay, so this new budget now is forward from this point, as I understand it then. But we've...
Bob, you may have to repeat that question. Star 6 to come off mute.
Yeah, here I am. Okay, thank you. So, as I understand, what was put forth earlier this week in Washington is going forward from this point. But I know we've got the fellow from our Levee and Drainage Districts Association down here saying that pretty clearly the budget still puts fish and wildlife ahead of flood control, and he wonders if some of the people in Washington have been hearing what the people out here have been saying, and what you folks have been saying about flood control being the number one priority. Is there anything that changes in terms of emphasis or priority based on the budget that now has been put forth going forward?
Colonel Hoffman, star 6 to come off mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, well, Bob, I'm not sure this is the forum to discuss that.
Okay.
I'm here to discuss levee rehab reports And the number one priority in this district is to repair that. That's been the loud and clear message from the stakeholders that I'm getting. So, I guess we can discuss that offline, but I'm not sure this is the right forum to discuss it. I've made it very clear at the Missouri Levee Drainage District Association meeting last Saturday, this is the district's number one priority. It impacts more stakeholders than that, and we're engaged as we've reported. So I'm sticking to the number one priority for the topics of this discussion. Over.
That's good. I appreciate that. Thank you. It sounds to me from the word that we've got early in the call about weather and things that things are going to be looking very good for those of us here in Missouri, assuming nothing changes. Which, Colonel, would that accelerate the work that can be done on getting levees repaired and things like that, if that holds true through the rest of the season?
Bob, it's been a very good start for construction, making a lot of progress, never as fast as we'd want it to be. But, yeah, absolutely. You make some great points about the weather. The forecast for the next, foreseeable future that I can tell is very, very promising. So, absolutely. And that right now is on our side, and we're trying to take advantage of that as much as we can. Over.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Do we have any other press with the state of Missouri who have questions? Okay, moving to the state of Iowa, congressional delegation members, state officials, local government, press. Moving to the state of Nebraska, congressional delegation members on the line with questions. Tribes, state officials, local government, press.
Oh, hi, this is Nancy from the World Herald.
Hi, Nancy.
I had a question for Jody. Jody, are you at the point where you can say the threat of flooding from above the dams is over? Significant flooding from above the dams?
I think what we can say is, based on the current conditions, there doesn't appear to be a great risk of flooding from snowmelt. That's what the River Forecast Center said. But again, it's still early in the season. We know that the situation can change rapidly, and there will always be a risk of flooding from rainfall events throughout the basin.
And then the minor risk from Plattsmouth to St. Louis, is that localized rainfall?
Yes, in the flood outlook that the Missouri Basin River Forecast Center put out yesterday, they did show minor flood risk from the Platte River down to St. Louis, and they characterized that as being the typical flood risk that we have from rainfall events. That's correct.
And why is that area from Plattsmouth southward at greater risk of thunderstorm-type flooding than the area north of Plattsmouth?
Well, I think the primary reason is that our ability to affect peak stages diminishes as you move downstream. So, if we get a heavy rainfall event in central Missouri, there's nothing that we or any of the reservoirs can do to reduce those peak stages. Below the dams, we have more control. And also, the lower part of the basin is typically wetter than as you move further up.
Okay. And then I had a question for Noah. Are you in a position to say whether this is one of the, I don't know if it's anywhere near a record, but how dry are we compared to being less dry than normal? Does that make any sense? We have hardly any plain snowpack, not a lot of soil moisture content, as I understand it. So is this an extraordinarily weak year for flood threat from snowpack and runoff like that? That's my question, if that makes sense.
That's
for Noah.
For Noah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have they seen a spring going into a spring like this with so little snowpack and so little flood threat?
Hello, am I live?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Who's speaking? I'm sorry.
This is Doug Cluck from
Okay,
NOAA.
Doug, go ahead.
Right. So looking at November through January, just looking at those precipitation amounts by state, by no means is it a record dryness, but it is drier than usual or drier than average for sure. In terms of how much precipitation has fallen, I would say that though sometimes recent precipitation records, especially in the winter, and especially across the plains, are not really great indicators of how dry or wet it really is for a number of reasons. One is that there is a certain amount of memory in the system, and so antecedent conditions over the last few years have been relatively wet across that same area, and it does take time for that sort of, we'll call it base flow, to get out of there, and that's one reason you're not seeing a lot of issues, immediate issues anyway, in terms of river flow and reservoir levels and that kind of thing. So there's still, maybe not at the surface, a lot of water, but certainly on the river itself, there's still memory in the system, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Do we have any other members of the press with the state of Nebraska on the line with questions? Okay, moving to the state of Kansas, congressional delegation members, tribes, state officials, local government, press. Moving to the state of Wyoming, congressional delegation members, tribes, state officials, local government, press. State of North Dakota, congressional delegation members, tribes, state officials, local government, press. State of South Dakota, congressional delegation members.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, who's speaking?
Hi, this is Jason Van Beek in Senator Thune's office.
Hi, Dave.
I'm just curious, there was a report there earlier about potential drought conditions shaping up in the Dakotas. I'm just wondering how that's impacting decisions at the Corps generally.
Yeah, as was mentioned by NOAA, there are some drought conditions developing in the eastern part of the Dakotas, and the drought outlook shows that area may expand over the spring months. We're taking that into consideration, but like was just discussed, that is really probably more reflective of just the lack of moisture in the topsoils, and we do still see fairly healthy base flows throughout the basin. And so we haven't adjusted our operation based on that outlook of drought.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Do we have any other congressional delegation members with state of South Dakota on the line with questions? Tribes? State officials? Local government? Press.
Yes, it's Jerry Oster, W1AX in Yankton.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi. In the stretch from Gavin's Point to Sioux City, over the years, bank stabilization has been a big issue, made much worse by the flooding. Is any attention, any money going to be used in that area to help folks with that?
Go ahead, Greg.
Jerry, Greg Mellema. I'm sorry, Greg, can you give me your position title again?
Operations Division here in Omaha.
He's going to answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah, we will be looking at some of our Section 32 projects, which is inspected by our Section 33 program, but we do have several bank stabilization structures downstream of Gavin's, down to, I believe, Ponca in that reach. So we will be assessing those.
And in assessing, does that include repair or just taking a look at them?
First, taking a look, seeing what the damage is and what was sustained, and there are some funds available as well.
I think we've requested funds up for that, and so we will be funded for repairs. There is this is Colonel Rook. There is a limit on repairs annually at $3 million. So as we do the assessments, we'd have to see where we could best spend them per year. So we do know there is some significant damage up in the Bismarck area on some of those projects that we're inspecting as well.
Yeah, and further in the Dunes area, there were no permanent levees. Any plans to make any more structures or any new structures in that area?
No, there has been talk by private organizations and of looking and studying on whether there could be some levees placed somewhere between Gavins and where our federal levees now pick up in Council Bluffs and Omaha, but really just early stages of discussion there.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Hey, Monique, this is Colonel Hoffman from Kansas City. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I would add, if you don't mind, to add on to Colonel Rooks and his teams up in Omaha. On our portion of the river from Rulo to the mouth of the Mississippi, there's about 5,000 structures, and about 3,000 of those we believe were damaged during the 2011 flood event. And there is funding available, again, through the Disaster Relief Appropriations Act, supplemental passed by Congress on the 23rd of December. Right now, our estimated value of those repairs is about $19 million on the Bank Stabilization Navigation Project south of Rulo. And again, as I stated earlier, we believe those resources are sufficient, and now it's our job to fix it. Over.
Thank you, sir. Did that bring up any follow-up questions for you, Jerry, at all? Star 6 to come off mute if you need to.
No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other members of the press with the state of South Dakota on the line with questions? Any national press?
Monique, can you hear me?
Yes. Is that Nancy?
Yes.